other side. Now he will not be on the Illini side today participating in that all around. So certainly something to keep a eye on here. But there's going to be folks that get an opportunity, and one of them is Dylan Shepard, the youngster who missed a lot of last year with an injury, getting a big opportunity to help the team out and fill in on the floor as he gets things going for Illinois.
Coming off of so many sickness and injuries, I'm sure that he might be feeling a little bit of pressure right now, but we'll see if he can mask that while he's on the floor.
It's certainly a tough ask for a gymnast who's only had a couple of meets at this level to really step up and set the tone, but so far so good, it appears.
Those solid sticks and landings right there. Relatively simple side pass. Double back, what a stick for Dylan Shepard.
Dylan Shepard punctuating that routine, and a terrific start for Illinois. And I'd be remiss, Kaylee, if I didn't mention last year he was in the broadcast booth next to us while he was out with an injury, and now he gets a chance to come out here and put his talents on full display, and that's a great start for the Illini.
So awesome to see him doing that.
And Nathan York will attempt to do the same thing for Nebraska, setting the tone. Guy who has really excelled on the floor in particular, a bronze medalist in the Big Ten in 2023. And then he struggled with this event last year, was nearly out of the lineup according to Coach Schmelka, but now he is back in form and ready to contribute in a big way.
Possible 1/10 deduction because of that step back. Look at that stick. That acrobatic element just really adds a lot to their score. So it's really important, although it looks simple and easy, it sure is not.
Yeah, to the uninitiated eye, it's all about those big tumbling passes. All those little details really add up as well.
And a beautiful stick for him. Look at that.
Nathan York setting the tone. He's fired up about it, and rightly so. So we didn't expect anything less, but both of these teams starting it off with a bang. I know something Coach Schmelka said about Nathan York is sometimes he is so quiet that he goes unnoticed, but nothing quiet about that routine.
Quiet but mighty.
Now Nathan Whitaker getting a chance, the talented freshman out of Lexington, Kentucky. It's interesting, it seemed as if it was going to be either Whitaker or Dylan Shepard in the lineup today, but now again with the injury to Sam Phillips, both of these young, talented gymnasts getting a chance. Whitaker had been dealing with a bit of an illness earlier in the week, according to Coach Ribeiro. He says he is a full go.
What a powerful move there.
Looking every bit of a full go so far.
You know, the coach has been talking about how he has had some of the most talented freshmen this year. By far one of the most talented classes that they've had for a very long time now. And now you can see that they're really stepping up to the plate. It's so cutthroat with them.
Dylan Shepard's score is in, a 13.350.
Very nice landing there. That'll definitely help put some points up on the board for sure. Did land with his chest a little bit down. That's going to be a bit of a deduction there, but overall a really solid routine for him.
The freshman making his presence felt, a guy who won the event title in his debut at the Windy City Invitational. Maybe this one won't be enough to reprise that role, but certainly quality points for Illinois. Now Luke James set to take center stage for Nebraska, native of Cape Town, South Africa. He's won one individual title in floor, one in vault a season ago, so certainly can chip in on both of those apparatus as he has in each of his first 2 seasons. The junior really looking to make his mark now in his 3rd year. Hear the chants of Luke emanating from this Nebraska crowd. Really solid contingent for Big Red out here today.
You know, there's not many of them out here, but they are definitely pretty loud cheering them on. That's going to be a bit of a deduction there with that hop. You know, on floor, one of the biggest things is, you know, sticking the landing and sticking it clean, precise. But sometimes you can get a little hop happy on this floor, and he seems to be doing that today.
There's an element to which, obviously, to be safe and to propel these maneuvers, the floor has got to be springy, but that can be a double-edged sword as well.
Absolutely. Double twist. Right there, that was pretty solid. What an insane level of difficulty there. And such a clean stick. That's going to put some points up on the board for him.
And more raw emotion from Luke James there. You mentioned hop happy perhaps in the early going, not on that authoritative final stick. Beautiful stuff right there. Score coming in for Nathan Whitaker as well, a 13-3 for him as Ian Sandoval gets ready to keep things going for the Illini. And with Sam Phillips out, this guy is really going to have to step up. A young, terrific athlete participating in the all-around as just a freshman for Illinois. And this is somebody that Coach Daniel Ribeiro said there's so much talent, so training is really cutthroat. Any of these freshmen could have emerged, but Ian is the one who did, and he's getting a terrific opportunity here today.
Getting this opportunity as a freshman is pretty rare. And I know that when we did talk to Coach, that he was saying how cutthroat it is because all of these freshmen are so incredibly talented. As he gears up for his next pass. He was a little bit of out of line there. That could possibly result in a deduction. Double pike, very nice. Bit of a hop back, but overall a really solid routine for the freshman today.
Fought through it and got a job done, as Sandoval so often has. Even a guy like him who stepped up and has really become a star in the early going here as the score for Luke James comes in at 13-6. There's always pressure on you to perform at a high level because you never know who's going to be on your heels, and with so much talent on this team, he is doing everything he can to maintain this wonderful opportunity he's carved out for himself, and so far so good.
As most of the freshmen would be, I believe. Absolutely.
Next up, it'll be Chase Mondi for Nebraska. One of these many young sophomores who can really contribute for Big Red. 5 sophomores on this team. Coach Schmelka said they all contributed last year in some way, shape, or form, and he's really looking to that class to take it to the next level here and buoy his young squad.
Ooh, that's going to be a major deduction for him. I know we've talked about this so many times in gymnastics. It's such a mental battle with yourself, especially coming off of a fall.
Especially something like that goes sideways early in your routine. Yeah. How do you really pull it together and finish that out?
Well, he's showing us right now that was a really solid stick. It's all about that regrouping, getting back. Ooh, what a stick.
An exceptional finish from Chase Mondi. He puts the exclamation mark on it. Unfortunately, that big deduction early on is going to hurt him, but a stellar finish for a guy who was second at the season opening Rocky Mountain Open for these Huskers in a couple of events, both the floor and the vault, and showing why toward the end of his routine there. Now Amari Sewell up there next for Illinois, the final one to count a score in this new 4-up, 4-count format, along with the new code of scoring, and only 12 gymnastics able to be in the lineup instead of 15 gymnasts, so a little bit different here tonight, but what's not different is the prowess of Amari Sewell. He's been doing this well for a long time.
He is really showing these freshmen how it is done. You know, he is so solid in his landings, and he gets so much height. It's insane. I don't think I've ever really seen another gymnast get so much height just from even being on the spring floor. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but he just gets an incredible amount of height, but he keeps it so under control. He's just like flying through the air. Look at that.
Well, the power is his number one attribute, the reigning Big Ten vault champion, and the vault his best event, but definitely some correlation between vault success and floor success where you can utilize all that power.
Double pike, what a stick for Amari Sewell. Look at that.
An authoritative routine from Amari Sewell as he finishes it with a bang, and quality stuff from the Illini, 4 hit routines and a really strong start for Illinois. Coach Ribeiro always emphasizes cleanness, and that has certainly been the case here for Illinois early on. Now Chris Heiser being announced for Nebraska, the final one up for the Cornhuskers.
Know that Chase Mondi had a bit of a not what they were hoping for kind of score, 12.600. So I'm sure he's probably preparing himself to hopefully put a higher score on the board for the Cornhuskers.
Now, we'd initially thought this was going to be Taylor Christopoulos' slot here, but instead Chris Heiser getting the opportunity to go out there. Heiser, the 2022 Big Ten Freshman of the Year, rings probably his best event, but giving himself a shot to go out there and compete here in the anchor position for Nebraska on floor.
Front second pass, look at that. Kind of landed a little low there, could possibly be a deduction. Ooh, a very difficult side pass.
Scores continuing to flow in, and Chase Mondi with the 12.8. Solid, all things considered, given that he did struggle on that one pass.
What a beautiful combination there as he gears up. Incredible stuff there.
And incredible stuff all the way around on this first set of floor routines as Chris Heiser finishes it off for Nebraska. We'll come back with the updated standings after one rotation as we get you set for the Pommel Horse up next. Lots more fireworks here to come between Illinois and Nebraska on Big Ten Plus. Back in Champaign as we wait for the judges to finish up Chris Heiser's score and see where things stand after that first rotation. But Kaylee, this one really started with a bang on the floor exercise, all getting going with Dylan Shepard of Illinois.
Yeah, he was just so solid on the floor. You know, we had so much energy from him, so much energy from both the Illini and Nebraska. Unfortunately, with Nebraska, I believe it was Chris Mondi, I believe, and or Chase Mondi, I'm so sorry. His score definitely hurt the Cornhuskers a little bit, but overall everybody else really put on that solid score.
And now those scores are finalized for the first rotation, and Illinois up by just a fraction of a point, 53.65 to 53 flat. And I think that speaks to the difficulty of Chase Mondi's routine and the way that he bounced back to still scratch and claw and get a 12-8. That was huge, even though it's not really a hit routine, so to speak. He still found a way to put up a solid score and keep his team in it.
Definitely, and he still had a lot of difficult passes too. You know, his level of difficulty might have been a little more different than the others, so that is something that could affect him as well. But overall, it looks like everyone's, like we've been saying, it's going to be a tough fight today for sure.
Pommel horse is up next, and I just think it's one of the most fascinating apparatus in the sport because it is truly different and distinct from every other thing that this sport has to offer. Obviously, you talk about the upper body strength, such a big deal in really everything in gymnastics, but Pommel horse just so unique and always fascinating to see these athletes go at it and complete their routines.
Absolutely, and there's so many other factors too other than just upper body strength. You know, you got to make sure that you're going fast enough but not too fast. You don't want to fly off that thing, so definitely got to keep that in mind and keeping their core strength. So this should be a good event to watch.
As you have a look at the lineups for Illinois and Nebraska, once again Ian Sandoval back in the thick of it for Illinois, as he will be in every event today, participating in the all-arounds. We'll see Hassan Aidogdu for the first time for Illinois. One of their standout freshmen will be in a couple of events today, and Yanni Chronopoulos also set to start things off for Nebraska. Some really talented athletes, and of course, for the Illini, Brandon Dang, the pommel horse specialist and guy who's won 10 pommel horse titles and is the Big Ten pommel horse champ, waiting in the wings. But first up, it will be Chronopoulos, an international competitor for Team Canada. He'll be doing gymnastics after his time here at Nebraska, a chance to do it at the next level, and it doesn't take a lot to see why. He's a terrific athlete.
He is really just maintaining that core strength, keeping it together. His speed and tenacity is just phenomenal right now. And a nice landing for him today.
Chronopoulos gets his day started with a bang. Appears to be very satisfied with that, and why not? Great start for him. You'll see him a couple more times on the rings and the parallel bars. And now we go from that fifth-year veteran, Yanni Chronopoulos, to the first-year precocious youngster, Hassan Aidogdu. Guy who's really looking to increase his consistency. That's what Coach Daniel Ribeiro said. He's one of those many uber-talented freshmen who's capable of doing a lot of different events. He did the all-around in his debut at the Windy City Invitational January the 18th of this year, so capable of contributing in so many different ways, but he gets a chance here on horse and rings for the Illini today.
A little bit of a rough setup for him. Seems a little bit uneasy, but seems to be getting back that momentum. You always really want to start super solid and then end super solid, but sometimes that is not the case. A pretty solid routine for him. It does look like he could have been a little more cleaner, but based on that reaction, I think he did a pretty good job.
I have to credit the tenacity of the young freshman, having that little hiccup early on and still finding a way to forge through the rest of that routine.
That's gymnastics for you.
Now Travis Wong making the lineup for the first time this season here on Pommel Horse. Two-time Big Ten Freshman of the Week a couple of years ago, and put up a career high of a 14.3 last year on Pommel Horse back in the old code days. Of course, that new scoring code in effect here in 2025 in NCAA men's gymnastics. But Travis Wong has been scratching and clawing to make that lineup, and now he gets his chance in competition today.
The startup for Pommel Horse can always be hit or miss. Seems like a lot of these athletes are kind of starting a little rough, but they get it all back together, which, like we've been saying for the 100th time, that is gymnastics for you. Going all around once. And a stuck landing for him.
It's got to feel good for Travis Wong just to be able to get back out there after a long up and down career. Back in the lineup for the Cornhuskers for the first time this season as he gets some instruction from Coach Schmelka and a little fist bump at the end of it. And now once again we bounce back from the veteran to the youngster, Ian Sandoval.
I think that's a common theme we're having today, going from veteran to youngster.
Yeah, you think about both of these teams with an injection of youth, but that veteran leadership so important for both sides as well. Of course, Sam Phillips out today, but what he brings from a leadership standpoint, so tremendous. Guys like Amari Sewell on the Illini as well, and for Nebraska, Yanni Chronopoulos, Taylor Christopoulos, and Zach Tiedemann, who we'll see toward the end of the day. So as much young talent as you have, it is really important to have those veterans that have been there, done that.
And it's so important, even though they're so young, you know, they could be performing at the same, like, incredible level of leadership and professionalism as them.
Ian Sandoval, certainly one of those who has a maturity beyond his years and the talent to match.
Hit the Pommel Horse a little bit. That is going to result in a bit of a deduction. He gears up for the landing. And a stick for Sandoval.
And you mentioned, Kaylee, hitting that horse a little bit. That happens, I feel like, more often than you would think. But it's not just a deduction, it's a loss of momentum. So how do you really cope with that and get your body spinning fast enough again to do what you need to do on these routines?
Yeah, you really just need to get back into that core strength and, you know, just keep going. Like I said, gaining that momentum back and just trying to get that speed up, but not trying to speed up too much because you could lose your balance off of it. So, and I think he did a pretty solid job of getting back on and gaining that momentum again.
Now Nathan York, they call him Yorkie over at Nebraska. The cornerstone of this program. And especially as you talk about the two fifth-year standouts and Christopoulos and Chronopoulos on the way out after this year, Nathan York is going to be really the guy for this program. And he is certainly one of their guys right now as well.
And look at Yorkie go. Check that out. Very solid routine for him.
You could even hear the Nebraska faithful clapping before he even stuck that supreme confidence in Nathan York, and really crisp routine from him as now turns it over to Preston Guy. Fairly raw is Preston, just 8 meets as a freshman a season ago. but he did notch a career high on the pommel horse in that season opening Windy City Invitational, a 14.35, and that topped all of his scores under the old code regulation, so hitting his stride at the right time here in 2025.
You know, this younger crowd from the Illini, they have so much talent. And I know that coach was saying earlier how they're always striving to get a 10th better than their previous meet. And I wonder if it applies to him. I wonder if he's thinking maybe I should try and beat my new career high this meet, you know? Some beautiful passes right there. And a very nice routine for him today.
A really strong start value of 15.2. You wouldn't expect too much to come off of that, so a terrific effort from Preston Nye. And now here's the man of the moment and the man of moments for several years, and Taylor Christopoulos. First time we get to lay eyes on him today. Again, thought he'd be in the lineup for floor, but not the case, and instead, the 8-time All-American will set things off on pommel horse. Guy who's a quiet leader, according to Coach Schmelka. Maybe not the most vocal, but he does everything for this team to really rally the troops, whether it's inside the gym, it's nutrition, it's the strength training. And a guy that the coaching staff has really leaned on in a big way, according to Coach Schmelka, almost like a coach who still has eligibility left.
And that is going to hurt his score there. Unfortunate day for Christopoulos there.
Yeah, a rare blunder for the guy who has been so prolific throughout his entire career. See if the third-year team captain can show some mental resolve as you have another look at where he got stuck.
And he'll hop on. Try and recover. And another fall for him today. This is very much not like him.
And you wonder from a mental standpoint with him on several more events today, how does this affect the fifth-year veteran? How is he going to rally from this from a mental standpoint, not just to finish this routine, but to keep his day going? There's so much pressure, especially with just 4 athletes on each apparatus now and the new code of rules and regulations. So it will be certainly interesting to see how it impacts the rest of his day.
Impactful to his day and impactful for the team especially. I know that this new code of rules and new having 4 people instead of 5 start has definitely made this program and made the sport a lot more difficult. And it's so much more cutthroat, you know. Like we've been saying, like we have so many freshmen that are stepping up to the plate and trying to take this 4th spot or this 3rd spot, you know, and it can be really cutthroat.
Absolutely. I know that's a word that Coach Daniel Ribeiro of Illinois has used many times, and it's certainly a difficulty to athletics at this level where you're fighting against your brothers just to have a chance to play, but you also want to be best friends away from the sport and have that type of chemistry, and really a delicate balance. Now Brandon Dang hopping up there for the Illini, and this young man is must-see TV whenever he is on the pommel horse, the reigning Big Ten champion in that discipline.
Such a powerhouse for this team, especially in this event, you know. Seems to be executing his routine very nicely right now. Look at that speed. And what a routine for Brandon Dang. Check that out.
It is like clockwork for the sophomore from California. He comes here for 1 minute of meat, it feels like, but that is the most electric minute of the evening a lot of the time. A guy that Coach Ribeiro said he can even continue to build his start value higher and higher as time goes on, and he's going to put the Illini in a really solid place as we wait for those scores to trickle in. 2 rotations done from Huff Hall in Champaign. We'll be back with more top 5 action. The Illini and the Huskers on Big Ten Plus.
The 1-minute transition period has now started.
There are 4 main deductions to look for on the still race. All strength moves and handstands must be held for at least 2 seconds. If a gymnast short holds one of these positions, there will be a 3-tenth reduction every time. The second deduction to look for are positions in strength moves. A gymnast must be perfectly straight and in line at the bottom of the rings on all strength moves. The third deduction to look for on rings are arm bends. Gymnasts are never allowed to bend their arms on the still rings. Anytime a gymnast moves when he's in a handstand, he will incur a 1/10 small deduction.
The 1-minute transition period has now concluded. The 4-minute touch period has now begun.
Ethan Oscroba and Kaylee Hill back with you for this top 5 clash in Champaign. And Kaylee, the Illini finally able to chisel out some separation for themselves on Pommel Horse.
Yes, absolutely. You know, it has been a wacky day here at Huff Hall, I think. We've had a lot of things go wrong. There's been athletes that have been, having to make minor changes. On Pommel Horse, not many really great scores, but Brandon Dang did end up putting up a 14.25, I believe, which is really helpful for the Illini. That's definitely going to set them up. Currently, I believe it's 107.4 for the Illini and 105.3 for the Cornhuskers. So the Illini have a little bit of a lead on them, and I think Brandon Dang definitely helped with that one, for sure.
And one of the interesting narratives as well, Taylor Christopoulos struggling through his routine. That's a rare sight, but he gets to get right back to work on still rings. So we'll see how he is able to shift the tone and turn the page on that one as we get ready for one of the most thrilling apparatus there really is, Kaylee. Just the strength and fortitude that this takes is really hard to fathom.
Yeah, Ethan, I remember us talking earlier about it, and you were like, there's no way that this is real. How can people do this? And it's a really hard skill, honestly, to do. I'm not saying that because I know how to at all, but just the amount of upper body strength and core strength and just overall strength is insane. So.
Real-life superheroes. That's the way I like to term the folks that are able to do this on still rings. So
defying gravity.
It should be intriguing to see how things play out today as you have a look at the Illini lineup. The Illini now tethered to slightly over a 2-point advantage. And some of that due to, of course, the struggles of Taylor Christopoulos, but you figure that the 8-time All-American is going to have a lot more to say before this thing is over. As we get going on still rings with Logan Myers, his only event here tonight, I believe, initially was the plan. Of course, Sam Phillips going down. I believe we'll see a little bit more of him later on, but a man who's definitely capable of going up into the 14s on occasion with this routine.
Look at those still rings. It's so incredible to just watch this, and there's really little to no movement here. It's really keeping it together, keeping that balance. And a little bit of a hop for him, but overall a very solid routine for the 5th year.
And another hit routine for the Illini, who hit all of their routines last time out against Oklahoma, the top team in the country for the moment. That was something that Coach Daniel Ribeiro addressed with his team. He said, hey, if we're hitting everything and we're still not finding a way to win, I guess we're not doing quite enough. So they're certainly going to look to push up some of those difficulty values, those start values as things go on, but not push the guys past the point of what they can do. That's a big point of emphasis with Coach Ribeiro's philosophy. As you see James Friedman, the 5th-year senior. This will be his only event tonight. Showing off some of that upper body strength there.
I was going to say that lower, wow, crazy. This one specifically too, it's really easy to get those deductions if you have a lot of movement, but so far not looking like there's too much there. A lot of times the deductions will come from the landings if they're not stuck. That was stuck.
And James Friedman packed his bags and headed to Champaign just for this routine, and if that's the case, I'd say it was certainly a trip well spent. That was nicely done. He's been excelling on this event for a long time, a 2018 Junior Olympic national champion in rings, and in the big 2025, he's still doing it at a high level. Now Preston Nye. In 3 events today, a guy who's worked his way to break into this lineup.
Check that out. It's always so solid starting off. maintaining that core and arm strength. Little to no movement on that one. Check out that double stag right there. He does have a little bit of a step back, but he is going to be putting some points up for the Illini.
I love how you mentioned the lack of movement, Kaylee. They don't call them the still rings because they stay still, but because you're supposed to keep them still, right? Such a challenge to do that and do all these acrobatics.
Absolutely.
Now Yanni Chronopoulos, the Milton, Ontario, Canada native. This guy who's shown a ton of maturation and so many facets of the game, according to Coach Schmelka. And a guy who's really taken the bull by the horns, doing more events than he ever has, and really becoming a focal point for Nebraska here in his 5th season. James Friedman's score, a 13.45, so solid start for him as Chronopoulos looks to keep it going.
Very nice there. Ready for that dismount. And he just threw himself back. Look at that.
A little bit of a wiggle at the end, but tremendous power on display from Chronopoulos, and another gymnast fired up, and rightly so. Now Hassan Idugdu, his second and final event on the day.
Just an effortless swing there.
If you're making anything on that apparatus look effortless, I'd say you're doing pretty good.
Absolutely. Well, he is having a little bit of swinging back and forth. That could be possibly 3/10 deduction. And a little bit of a hop back, but a solid overall routine for him, for sure.
Now you mentioned that swinging back and forth. Is that a little bit of a crutch to try to get more momentum, or how does that come into play?
Yeah, when it comes to that, you know, when you're trying to hold that motion, like when you're gearing up for that dismount, going back and forth like that, it makes sense that it's going to gear up some more momentum for you. But if you're staying in that position just like he was and you're swinging back and forth, that's when deductions start to come into play. So that could harm him a little bit, but from a judge's perspective, I don't really know.
Oh,
That'll
two scores in for each team. That deficit's starting to wane a little bit. Nebraska climbing back into things, now under the 2-point threshold, right around 1.6 points separating the Big Ten rivals, as Chris Heiser is up next. Finished 3rd on rings in the Rocky Mountain Open to get Nebraska's season going. That Rocky Mountain Open, the only meet they've had so far, so as Coach Chuck Schmelka said, they're a little bit less experienced than some of the rest of the country.
It must also be so hard coming from that meet, and you know, they're so early on in their season, trying to build up that breakthrough that we were talking about earlier. That could always add a lot of added pressure. very nice stick for Heiser. Look at that.
And Heiser, the 2022 Big Ten Freshman of the Year, continuing his marvelous career here in his 4th season with a great routine.
And now in the race for your fighting line, Ian Sandoval.
So now Ian Sandoval participating in the all-around for Illinois today. And getting a chance to step in there and I believe have this score count, which was not the plan initially, but again, the Sam Phillips ripple effect altering the proceedings for the Illini today.
That must also be so hard for Sam Phillips, you know, trying to go against his, this was probably one of his meets that he really wanted to really just do well in, and just so unfortunate, and you can see it's definitely sending that ripple effect through the team. But providing a lot of really great opportunities for these freshmen for sure.
Yeah, and certainly no animosity between Phillips and the Cornhuskers, but he did make a comment. He said, we're in battle now, and now he is 100% on the Illini side. Unfortunately, watching this one from the sidelines and watching the brilliant freshman Sandoval do his thing.
You know, Sandoval, I was expecting him to, you know, come into here, maybe get a little bit tired now that we are now on the 3rd event, but he seems to really be maintaining that capability to just keep going and really just doing his thing.
He's got some of that youthful energy and exuberance on display from the standout first year.
Youthful energy indeed.
And now as Nebraska has been climbing back into it, this is one of those guys to keep an eye on. Taylor Christopoulos, 2021 Big Ten Freshman of the Year, Gymnast of the Year in 2023, so accomplished, but got his day off to a rough start on Pommel horse. How does he respond?
So far he's responding pretty well. I think this is going to be one of his redemption routines for sure. He is just floating in the air right now. There's really not a lot of movement on these still rings. He gears up for that dismount. And a little bit of a step back, but overall, I think that was a pretty solid redemption routine for him.
Taylor Christopoulos with a big routine for Big Red as Nebraska starts to chew into this Illini lead. We have reached the halfway mark here in Champaign. Plenty of action still on tap, and the result very much hanging in the balance on Big Ten Plus.
The 1-minute transition period has now started.
There are 3 main deductions to look for on the ball. The first thing you're going to look for is ball completion. Make sure to watch their legs. Their legs are separated. They will incur a 1 to 3 time deduction. The second deduction to look for on the ball is the in-air deduction. After they leave the table, pay attention to their leg form or knee bends. These deductions could be a small, medium, or large deduction. The final deduction to look for on the ball is the landing. If a gymnast takes a step, he will most likely incur a medium 3 time deduction.
Back in action from Champaign, Ethan Oscrobo with Kaylee Hill. And Kaylee, I know you're the gymnastics expert, but if I had a little bit of advice for you as we get set for vault, it's simply this: don't blink. A lot of great athletes on the way as we get set for this fourth apparatus of the day.
Absolutely. You know, coming off of those still rings, we're talking about these people are superhuman. It's insane. Well, when you come to vault, it's like they're the Flash. They go so incredibly fast, and it's also just all about that landing. I'm telling you, we got some key players here. Taylor Kostopoulos, you know, this is his event. We were saying overall he's a great gymnast, an amazing athlete, but we saw that he had a little bit of a fall on pommel horse, got back up on the still rings, so probably expecting some good things from him on vault. And then Amari Sewell with his career high of a 14.9. And he has just always been so solid on vault. He gets so much energy. You saw him hopping on the floor. I'm telling you, that stuff helps on vault.
Yeah, he just has such ridiculous power. Transfer from Iowa, now in his third season with the Illini, and in 5 years in the sport, he certainly has not lost a step. Guy who's just continuing to work on refining what he does at such a high level, as we're moments away from getting this thing set off, and Luke James will get it going for Nebraska. A career high of 14.75 in the old code, and this season in the opening meet of 14.2. So you expect fireworks right off the rip as Luke James gets ready to launch his body into this fall.
Incredible dismount there. He did step on the line. That is going to result in a bit of a deduction. I believe 3/10.
Pretty big hop, but definitely one of those athletes where if he sticks it on his feet, if he lands on his feet one way or another, it should be a solid score. Well, Dylan Shepard, perhaps the biggest benefactor of Sam Phillips' absence from the lineup today.
Our fellow commentator himself, now stepping in this year.
Cool to see him get a shot from our seat to the catbird seat and ready to launch himself. A couple of events today for the young sophomore.
Looks like he's mentally getting in that headspace there.
Such a challenge, so much power and so ephemeral. Trying to maneuver in the air.
Very nice look at that stick. He did land on the line. Could be a bit of a deduction. Overall, so great for him.
Taking advantage of that opportunity that he was granted today. Dylan Shepard really stepping up in a big way for the Illini.
When it comes to vault, a lot of people get super in their head about what you're about to just going over. We talk about launching yourself in the air, throwing yourself, but vault, you're really going over something, and who knows, you could launch yourself and stick it, or you could launch yourself and end up in the wall. You never can tell.
You talk about the yips in baseball, you talk about dart paralysis for these dart throwers, or they just can't pull the trigger. I think it's even more frightening when you're flinging your body into the sky. We see it with even the greatest athletes, Simone Biles, and what she worked through on the women's side, and she may be the greatest ever to do it. So there's certainly a mental fortitude that is required, and so difficult when that begins to waver. So my hat's off to everybody who has the gumption to do this. Alex.
So that's going to be a pretty big deduction for him, not in the lines. Almost fell off the mat. It's all about that trust with yourself, you know.
Alex Natasha had an individual title in vault a season ago and managed a 14.85 in this event in the past. That score probably won't be quite as high. But a guy who this team is very excited about, Natasha. We'll see him also on the parallel bars. He had an injury. He got sick last year and never quite made it back, dealing with mono. And so great to have him fully healthy for Nebraska, and no doubt bigger and better things to come for him, as here's the big ticket right now, Amari Sewell. It is electric whenever he takes to this apparatus, the reigning Big Ten champion on the ball.
You can just see he's getting that look in his eye. He is ready.
12 career event titles in this event, none in any other event. So this is what he does, and does it extremely well, and certainly a front runner for number 13 here today.
A beautiful landing for him. Amazing work from Amari Sewell.
They might have to move the rafters in this building a little higher up so he doesn't bang his head on them. Look at this height.
Woo! All the way up. That is going to put up some big points for the Illini.
And big points the Illini need, as that gap had really narrowed. Nebraska making up a lot of ground over on the still rings, bringing it to within a point. As Nathan York now gets the nod for Nebraska. The quiet leader who Coach Chuck Schmelka said sometimes gets lost in the shuffle until he wows you. We'll see if he's able to wow this hostile road crowd today.
And a very nice landing for him as well. Once again, a little bit of a step back, so that is going to result into a bit of a deduction. But overall, very solid stuff from him.
But again, in an event where so many things can go so horrifically wrong, both teams keeping it pretty clean and crisp here so far today.
Not even having that home advantage too. I feel like the Cornhuskers are really keeping it up with the Illini. You know, they really just are going back and forth here.
Now Garrett Schooley, who had a share of the vault title at that season opening Windy City Invitational, looking to repeat in that capacity perhaps today. This certainly is his event. 2 career vault titles.
You know, they've warmed up not too long ago, but I could not personally imagine going down here, just going for the first time since your warm-up and just going for it. It's crazy. Not so solid of a landing. He did kick his foot out a little bit, so that will also result into a deduction, but he looks pretty pleased with that dismount right there.
I like that you bring that up, Kaylee. Vault is the 4th event here today. You haven't warmed up since, for all intents and purposes, before this thing got going, especially for someone like Garrett Schooley, who has not participated in another event. Such a physical and mental challenge to just hop into the vault, and solid result, all things considered.
Like we've said, it takes a lot of trust with yourself for sure, and a lot of strength. But all these guys are really putting it to the test here.
Now we'll see Chase Mondi to close things out for Big Red. Another event where we thought we'd see Taylor Christopoulos, so you wonder if he's perhaps a little bit banged up or what the situation may be, but things always in flux here in college gymnastics.
Stepped out of bounds will result in a bit of a deduction, but once again, solid dismount there.
Sophomore that this Nebraska staff has said has shown a ton of improvement and is showing that off today as a key part of Nebraska's hopes in this competition. Now Ian Sandoval. Not too many freshmen you'd throw in that fourth position, that anchor spot, and do so with as much confidence as Coach Daniel Ribeiro and these Illini do, but you always got to feel pretty good about this youngster no matter what apparatus he's competing on. Texas native who won his first career event title on vault last weekend and did it in the meet with that #1 ranked nationally Oklahoma team, a team that has won 74 now consecutive meets at home. So no small task for him to achieve that. Be looking for another big score today.
What a solid pass for him. He didn't even take that much time to mentally prepare. He just ran down the line and was ready. He's absolutely, the freshman is on fire today.
Just a very little nudge and so much confidence beyond his years as the young Texan punctuates this rotation with a really strong finish. 4 rotations now have come and gone. We'll update you on the scores when we come back on Big Ten Plus.
There are 3 main deductions to look for on the parallel bars. First deduction is a deviation from handstand. Many of the skills that you receive should finish in a perfect handstand. If a gymnast finishes these skills past a perfect handstand, he will incur a small or medium deduction. The second deduction to look for are arm prints. Skills that end in handstand should never have done on the parallel bars. A gymnast can incur a small, medium, or even large deduction depending on arms. The final deduction on the P-bars are hand steps. Anytime you see a gymnast move their hands, they will receive a small deduction.
The 1-minute transition period has now concluded. The 4-minute touch period has now started. Fighting Illini Women's Gymnastics will be back in action in Pommel on Friday, February 7th at 7 p.m. when they'll take on number 16 ranked Ohio State during their self-love and alumni meet. Join us in honoring some of our distinguished alumni and take part in the self-care basket raffle. Then be sure to come back to Huff on Sunday, February 9th at 1 p.m. as the Fighting Illini Women's Gymnastics team will take on number 9 ranked Missouri for bragging rights during their Super Bowl pregame tailgate. Be sure to arrive early to enjoy Illini Hour drink specials before the meet. And as always, admission is free. Hey fans, at this time we would like to give a very special shout out to Nathan. Nathan joins us tonight celebrating his 10th birthday. Happy birthday, Nathan.
During the Lunar New Year, it incorporates many different traditions, such as cleaning the house and setting up red decorations and lighting good luck.
On the final day of the New Year, a lantern festival will take place, which includes folk dances, traditional games, fireworks, election parades,
Back in action in a nip and tuck competition between a couple of top 5 teams. Nebraska and Illinois doing battle. And that vault, Kaylee, was absolutely thrilling moments ago.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. You know, we started off with Dylan Shepard over here who had a really solid pass. Like I said, probably a minor deduction for stepping on the line. You know, we had Amari Sewell, that key player, you know. He's really put up so many points on the board for the Illini in vault. The Cornhuskers also came through, putting up a lot of points for them. Like we said, it's been such a back and forth thing today, and there's been a lot of weird stuff has been going on. It's been kind of abnormal, having sickness, injuries, people coming in and out. But now as we're moving on to parallel bars, everyone is keeping up with that momentum, and I'm sure this is like the final push. You know, we have one more event after this. So everyone's really, this is like the final push here, Ethan, for sure.
Absolutely, as you have a look at the Illini lineup. Another time when Illinois is really feeling the sting of the absence of Sam Phillips here tonight. Of course, the former 5-year Nebraska Cornhusker now in his lone season with Illinois, suffering a lower leg injury before this one got underway, but certainly a competent lineup out there still for the Illini, and Nebraska as well. Going to look to get things going with a bang. Follow up that performance on vault. Cole Partridge, the sophomore, will have an opportunity to make an impact for the first time today, along with Nathan York and Yanni Chronopoulos. They're 2 stars, but first things first for Illinois, it'll be Ryan Vanish-Duranant, and I don't know what's more difficult, Kaylee, his routine or trying to pronounce his name. It's really take your pick, but nonetheless, he'll be trying to throw up a big score for the Illini.
100%. So far, he has been really solid on bars. A lot of deductions from parallel bars can come from if their handstands aren't looking straight, if their arms are kind of going off to the side a little bit. But so far, he's really just maintained that posture and that strength that you really need to put up a really big score.
5 times an individual event champion on the high bar, but getting a chance in parallel bars today. And getting the Illini off to a strong start.
Yeah, that routine's going to put up some points for them for sure. He did have a little bit of a step back, minor deduction.
Illinois was able to swell their lead on the vault up to right around a point and a half, 216.65 to 215.15. So in fact, I'm no mathematician, but I think that's exactly a point and a half, Kaylee, and we'll see if
seems like it, yes.
In these last couple of events, Nebraska can close the gap. They'll look to their young star, Cole Partridge, a guy who's been a USA Gymnastics developmental program participant and a Rookie of the Week, according to the CGA. At one time during last year, he certainly brings high scoring potential, has been in the 14s before on this event, and one of this talented sophomore crew that Coach Chuck Schmelka is really looking to give this team some identity. Taking his time to get mentally and physically prepared for this one. Of course, we always see the prevalence of the chalk before you hop on the bars. I don't know why, Kaylee, but that stuff's always made me a little squeamish, but no doubt really important from a grip standpoint.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's getting kind of foggy in here. There's a lot of chalk being flown around. I think I'm starting to get some on my laptop, but that's gymnastics.
I feel like the commentators for the Bulls back when Michael Jordan was throwing it in their faces. Maybe not quite that degree, that magnitude.
A minimal
of chalk
degree,
storm,
right?
I suppose.
Could have a little bit of a deduction, kind of struggle to hit that handstand. Overall, really solid right now. Look at that hit. The ability to just kind of throw yourself across the bars. Ooh. Unfortunately, not a stuck landing. That's going to hurt his score. up until that point, he was doing really good at maintaining that posture, maintaining that strength. He really just threw himself across the bar at one point, and he held that straddle position. But unfortunately, that fall is going to hurt his score.
Yeah, frustrating to lose that hit routine right at the end for the youngster Partridge. He'll have to show some mental and physical tenacity as the Utah native gets ready to contribute on the high bar in just a few moments, but nonetheless, that will certainly hurt the cause for the Cornhuskers, who are trying to evaporate their deficit right now. Now Matthew Nigan getting a chance. True freshman, and just his third career meet. Has appeared in all 3 meets for the Illini this season. His career high on this event of 13.35 last time out against Oklahoma.
Kind of struggling to hit that handstand a little bit. Seems like he's kind of struggling strength-wise with his arms right now. Let's see, it took him a minute to kind of hit that handstand. He's thinking about it. That was a lot better there. Ooh, and another fall for him. I'm telling you, it's been an abnormal day. It's very odd. We've been going back and forth, having kind of a lot of falls on certain events. He's going to get back on parallel bars to finish his routine, but that will hurt his score.
And one after another here, just when you thought the miscue by one young star in Cole Partridge was going to pave the way for the Illini to get some breathing room. Now Matt Nigan falling to the canvas and having to gut his way through the rest of this routine.
And a nice stick for him. He has a nice stick there. Like I said, the fall is really going to hurt his score. It seemed like today he was having just a little bit of troubles holding up his strength. You could tell he was thinking about his next move. And sometimes that can really hurt a gymnast when you're starting to think about your next move. It's kind of like one of those things you don't think about, you just do. And when you think about it too much, it can psych you out a little bit.
And is there a quick fix for that, Kaylee, or does that strength have to be built over a long period of time?
Mentally, I feel like it's harder mentally than it is with physically. Like you can when you start thinking about a skill for too long, you start to psych yourself out. I know when I was on the floor many years ago, thinking about a skill for too long can definitely harm you more than just the training or physicality that you need.
Alex Natashi getting ready to go. One of those guys that Nebraska is thrilled to have back and healthy and ready to contribute after some of the struggles with injury and illness in his freshman season. But Kaylee, I like how you bring that up. There's really a paradox to sports, especially at a high level like this. You think about it all the time because you're always trying to get better, but then when push comes to shove, sometimes you need to think a little less.
I'll definitely think a little less. So far, some good stuff from him. It looks like, there we go. And a stick for him. Look at that.
And a guy who's really raised the bar has Alex Natashi on parallel bars. In the old code last year, just a 12.85 was his career high. This year, already a 13.85 in the opening meet, and looking to continue to plunge further up and further in with those scores. Now Logan Myers out there for the Illini, getting that thing ready to go, and Vahe Petrosian is listed to be the participant. Of course, a lot of moving parts today, so until they're up on the bars, we never really know for sure.
Absolutely.
But now Petrosian is announced, and Logan Myers just helping his buddy get the bars ready to go and get more of that chalk on there for the grip. But here is Petrosian taking advantage of this opportunity, a guy who is certainly capable of going up into the 14s and getting a chance to replace Connor Miklos, who Coach Ribeiro said he'd done a nice job, but his starting value just not that high, so more potential here for Vahe Petroisian.
So far, the potential looks like he's really hitting those handstands. He is having a little bit of an arch right now, which could result in a deduction. He seems to be kind of dropping his chest, which sometimes when you drop your chest too much, it can kind of throw off your perception and balance. And a nice landing for him. He didn't really have too much level of difficulty to that routine, which is probably why his start value isn't that high. But overall, that was a pretty solid routine for him.
And certainly a challenge for a guy who's appeared in 4 different events in his freshman year, now a sophomore and just appearing in the one tonight, but delivering a solid performance nonetheless for Illinois and helping to buoy that slight lead that the Illini have at the moment. Now Nathan York preparing to initiate his routine for Nebraska. Floor exercise probably his best event, but capable of contributing across the board for this Nebraska team, and certainly a leader in and out of the gym. See if he can give them some much needed points in this top 5 clash.
Some incredible strength we are seeing from him here. Maintaining that balance. This is one of the cleaner routines so far that I've seen today. And a solid stick from that dismount. Look at that.
Magnificent stuff from Nathan York.
Yorkie is back.
Said his best event might be the floor. Well, we might have to rethink that after that routine. That was absolutely stupendous from Nathan York. And as Nebraska tries to take a chomp into this Illini lead, that one could certainly go a long way.
And Sandoval is going to come back here.
Ian Sandoval in the all-around and even getting a nod to count points in a couple of events that he wouldn't have due to Sam Phillips being out with the injury just moments before the start of this competition. And so he is really carrying the hopes and dreams of the Illini all the way through this battle. It's been a gritty meet on both sides. Maybe not going to be a new high score for either of these teams, both who have pushed into the 320s on the season so far. But the Illini with a slim advantage, and Sandoval looking to maintain it.
He really is just proving himself of his position today. Going through all of these events, really making these solid routines. And a nice stick for him. Check that out. That's going to put up some points for the Illini.
Well, maybe he's got a bit of a youthful complexion, Kaylee, but other than that, there is no way that you could tell this man was a freshman. Absolutely phenomenal stuff from him in all facets of the game today.
You know, it could be nerve-wracking putting in your newer athletes and not knowing if they're going to be able to handle, you know, the length of the meet and go through all of these events. But he is really just proving to us, I'm here, I'm ready to compete, I deserve to be here.
And no doubt that physical turmoil is certainly a part of it. He'll get a little bit of rest next time out. He won't participate all around in all likelihood, according to Coach Ribeiro, due to the fact that he is going to be in the Winter Cup, which he qualified for, so need to rest him up a little bit for that. But today, his talents on full display as Yanni Chronopoulos is the last one up for Nebraska. Looking to counter that performance by Sandoval, and Chronopoulos, for all that he has done throughout a phenomenal 5-year career, he did not appear in this event in 2024. So perhaps unfamiliar territory, at least from a competition standpoint for him. Though he did put up a 13-10 in the opening meet of Nebraska's season here in 2025.
He is having a little bit of bend in his handstands, which is not something that the judges are particularly going to look for. It could result in a little bit of a deduction. The Opolises have really been carrying Nebraska today, though.
They're not related, but they might as well be in terms of their performances. Stellar from both guys for a really long time. Christopoulos and Chronopoulos getting it done. And Nebraska very much in this thing after 5 rotations. It is still all to play for. The youth and the experience on full display. Buckle up, we got a great finish coming on Big Ten Plus.
These are the biggest deductions to look for on the Thursday. First, we have angles. All skills that turn should finish within 15 degrees of handstand. If a gymnast deviates from these angles, they will receive a small, medium, or even large deduction. The second deduction to look for in high fly are knee bends. Anytime a gymnast bends their knees, they will incur a small or medium deduction. The third deduction to look for is form and body position on releases. Make sure to pay attention to their straight body shape or kick out at the end of releases. Any of these deductions will incur a small or medium deduction.
As the dust clears and we get set for the final rotation of the evening, there is still very much all to play for here. With just a slender lead for Illinois, you could say a comfortable advantage for the Fighting Illini, but still less than a point. And following that parallel bar clash, still everything is up in the air. But those parallel bars certainly bringing the high-flying thrills, Kaylee.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's been such a crazy day. I really can't help but wonder what the next crazy thing is going to happen. We've had sticks, we've had falls, we've had a lot go on today. So I'm really curious to see how we're going to wrap this up. You know, everyone seems like they're getting hyped up. Last event, they're ready to fight for this.
Take a look at the results from parallel bars. Solid scores on both sides, but Illinois able to maintain a slim lead. You figure it's at a point where the Illini go 4 for 4, stick all their routines. They will be in great shape to claim this victory here at home at Huff Hall. But, of course, if there's anything we've learned today, it's that nothing is guaranteed in this sport.
Absolutely. And, you know, Coach Ribeiro definitely would say to us, if we were talking to him right now, that they should not be getting too comfortable. They are really right behind them. So it could be a toss-up at this point to see who takes it all.
Max Odden will get things going for Nebraska. Yet another of those 5 sophomores who have had such a tremendous impact on this team. And really, it's their team now in a lot of ways.
He's moving really smoothly through his passes. He is having a little bit of a bend when he hits his handstand, which could result in a minor deduction.
A sub-12 score in his first meet of the season. Looking to blow that tally out of the water here with this one.
He is just flinging himself in the air. Look at that. Now he's gonna prep for that dismount coming up here. Not exactly the stick that I'm sure he was hoping for. Overall, a pretty clean routine. He did have some bends in his handstands, which, like I said, could be a minor deduction.
Doing enough to keep the pressure on Illinois, and Illinois is certainly missing a lot of talent on this event here as Van Eigen gets ready to start it off. But Tate Costa, who is honored tonight, the reigning national champion in high bar, is unable to go. He's been shut down for several weeks now as he works through an injury. And of course, Sam Phillips also was ready to count points in this event as well. So the young freshman looking to fill that void here tonight.
Beautiful dismount there. When you're on high bar, it can be easy to just fling yourself, but you don't want to fling yourself too far backwards because that's when you're going to miss the bar. And that would result in a, probably, it would hurt, but also hurt your score too. And a very solid stick for him.
Now you can see the smile on Matthew's face as he gets this crowd hyper, and deservedly so, throwing down the gauntlet for the Illini and helping them stave off Nebraska here late.
Much better performance than parallel bars. I'm sure that felt real good to get that stick there.
Now another guy who's potentially looking for some redemption is Cole Partridge. One of his two events today, the high bar and parallel bars. Also worth noting, Kaylee, we talk about these injuries. Tate Costa not the only one missing, not just for Illinois, but Nebraska losing their star, Asher Cohen, who is so key on rings and parallel bars. He, in fact, appeared in every single event last season and now sidelined with an injury. So it's early in the season, but both of these teams are already feeling what it's like to play through some of this adversity, and both coaches mentioned the depth of their squad's really important and really heralded that depth, and we are seeing its impact here tonight.
Yeah, you know, having all these injuries, switching people out this early in the season, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be detrimental to their team because it is super early. But at the same time, it does kind of hold them back a little bit when it comes to gearing up for the national championship if they end up going. You know, it could really hurt their team and hurt their scores. So I'm sure they're all getting ready to just help their fellow athletes out, help their coaches, help their players out, and really just try and help everyone recover. That was a pretty solid stick for him. He did bend his knees a lot in that, so it is going to result in a deduction.
Nonetheless, a strong bounce back from Cole Partridge. He only got an 11.05 in the opening meet of this season in that Rocky Mountain Open, so a big opportunity for him to spring back into action and really improve on that score. He went into the 14s back in the old code days last season and should put up a really strong score here. But will it be enough? It really feels like Nebraska needs a spark or needs a little blunder from Illinois to open that door up a crack. Ryan Vanich-Thorant will be trying not to enable that to happen. The five-time high bar event champion in his career, native of Plainfield, Illinois, set to take to the bar and keep the momentum flowing for the orange and blue.
Yeah, this kid has been on fire. I've actually known him since high school, and even then, he was just star gymnast, always on the bars, flipping himself in the air. It's so great to see him come so far. So far, he's really maintaining that balance and control. Switch to one arm, super solid there. He had a really big hop back, which is gonna deduct a little bit of his score there. But overall, that was a really solid routine from him.
Illinois born and raised and Illini made. Ryan Vanish-Thuranot certainly doing enough to help the Illini stay in front. And time running out for the Huskers with just a couple of routines to go. Now the first and only time that we will see Zach Tiedemann, and a fifth-year stud who's been an All-American twice over just last year in vault and high bar, team captain, and each of the last 2 seasons. This is somebody that Coach Schmelke really did not have enough good words to say about him. Just a tremendous competitor and athlete, 4 times an individual champion on this particular apparatus, and a really vocal leader for this team. Fills a huge void there, but also on the high bar where he is an absolute technician.
That was really nice how he went to the one arm and back. And again, his level of difficulty is pretty difficult for sure. And a third time with one arm. And a crazy dismount for him. That was really difficult. You know, he did land it. He had a really big bend in his knees, so that will affect his score. But for that difficult of a routine, that was really solid.
Yeah, one of those where you say, if I put it on my feet, it's going to be a big score on the board. And he did just that, barely really bending those knees, but just finding a way as Preston Nye takes center stage for Illinois. Again, fairly inexperienced is Preston Nye, and just an 11.77, his career high on high bar from last year, and just 8 meets in his rookie season. So this is a big spotlight for a guy who maybe isn't too used to these moments. We'll see how he responds.
Very clean switch to the one arm. That was a lot of power that he had there. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little nervous. I thought that he might not necessarily connect to the bar, but he's doing just that. And a solid stick for him. Look at that. Oh, everyone is hyped up for that one.
Preston Nye unfazed by the moment and delivers one of the biggest routines of his life. That will almost certainly establish a new career high for the young standout. Now over to Nebraska, and Taylor Christopoulos had that rough start to his day on Pommel horse, but since has bounced back, making his debut in the new code on this event in 2025.
Ooh, very intense and difficult skill there. Switching to the one arm and turning. Ooh, his legs weren't really together. That is a really difficult skill to hit on high bar. He is quite literally just flinging himself in the air. You can see that. Very nice hitting that handstand. As he gears up for that dismount. And a very nice stuck routine for him. Look at that. That's a lot of redemption from his first routine for sure.
Oh, such impressive wherewithal in the air. Just the chutzpah to even think about some of those moves that he breaks out, and doing that on a routine basis. This is why he's one of the best in the game and the 2023 Big Ten Gymnast of the Year. Showing off the skills that got him that honor. But now here you go. This is what it's all about. Logan Myers getting called upon. A solid routine, you figure, will seal the victory for Illinois. This would be Tate Costa's spot. Tonight, this would have been Sam Phillips' spot. But Logan Myers getting a chance to step in there, show off his veteran presence, and a two-time individual champion on high bar, looking to seal the deal on an Illini win.
You know, for not even really knowing if you were going to go in today, it must add a little more pressure to that. But Coach Daniel Ribeiro really seems to have really just made these athletes into being ready for anything. Anything can change at any time. And so far, he's been handling this really well. A very nice landing for Logan Myers. Look at that.
Logan Myers thrust into the spotlight, and he is gleaming under it. What a moment for Illinois, and that might just have been the finishing blow to deliver it for the Illini. The clutch factor off the charts for the Colorado native as he steps into the lineup and finds a way. We'll wait for the final scores to trickle in, but meanwhile, Ian Sandoval won't get the points for the team for this, but will complete his all-around today. The youngster capable of contributing in every single discipline, and will finish off his impressive evening here. As we wait for the score, you do the math, all Logan Myers needs will be a little under 12 points to push him through and lift the Illini to victory, and there it is. You hear the cheer from Huff Hall. Logan Myers didn't just do enough, he did more than enough. That was terrific stuff in a scenario where we didn't even know if he would get that opportunity, but boy, was he ready for it, Kaylee.
Absolutely, and you can see Ian Sandoval in his final event of the day. Overall, he has just been such a key player in today's meet. And even though these aren't going to count and he's just exhibitioning right now, I'm sure he's using this as an opportunity to once again be like, I belong here, I'm proving myself to stay here. Get a little bit of a touch on the bar there. A very nice stick for Sandoval, look at that. So youthful, so full of energy.
Ian Sandoval adds that one final punctuation mark on what was a terrific afternoon for the Illini. Illinois set the tone, and the Cornhuskers, it felt like they were playing catch-up most of the day, put a lot of pressure on Illinois, but you talk about the perseverance from the Illini. They find a way through and end up with a fairly comfortable margin of victory by over a point, but it certainly didn't feel comfortable, I'm sure, for either of these teams as the action went on. What a terrific battle this was.
Now, looking at these scores, this is just so crazy. They are just so neck and neck with each other. And like we were talking about earlier, Illinois really just had to blow Nebraska out of the water. They really were just trying to get them out of the way so that they can move up, sort of, and they have really done that. It looks like even though they were neck and neck with each other for a while, they really did a good job at just going against each other and working for that win today.
And tremendous the way that it went back and forth. The pommel horse to the Illini, the rings to Nebraska. What a tremendous clash this was, and it was a blast to call it with you, Kaylee. So for this entire Big Ten Plus crew, for our producer, Emily Ritchie, for you, of course, Kaylee Hill, and everybody who's making this happen, That'll do it for us here at Huff Hall. So long and enjoy the rest of your night.